Real quick before the video starts, I have a new channel based around green tech stories on 4chan, and I'll be uploading videos daily over there. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account about a year ago. The post is titled, "I work in a sleep clinic and some patients want to sleep naked. I recently changed careers and now work as a sleep technician for a well-known medical facility. I am still a student, so I only work part-time until I graduate from my program. Technicians are not nurses unless they have additional specific training. We are machine operators who happen to work with patients. My job is to attach electrodes to the patient's body for the purpose of monitoring and recording the body's electrical signals during sleep. Nudity is not required for me to do my job, which is partially why I chose this field. Here is the issue. Some of my patients do not bring or wear pajamas for their sleep studies. You would think it is common sense to wear pajamas to sleep in, but apparently, as I am now learning, it is not. Some patients even report, "No one told me to bring pajamas." The biggest issue for me is men. It is mostly men who do this, who strip down to their underwear or state that they sleep naked. In my opinion, this is incredibly inappropriate. Not only is it unsettling, unprofessional, and plain strange, seriously, it is just one night away from home. It also forces the workers into a situation that could be easily misconstrued. We already record all interactions to protect ourselves from false accusations. As someone new in this field, would it be out of line to ask the lab manager if the night crew could keep a package of hospital gowns in inventory for patients who do not have pajamas with them? I do not want to hurt my chances of moving into a full-time position here, but I also cannot pass every inappropriate male patient to my co-workers. I do not know if this matters, but the majority of people at my facility are female presenting. I think, besides a few of the doctors, the rest of the staff is over 95% women. It is rare to have a male technician on the crew. Update. I have been sitting on this reply to you because my experience as a brand new sleep technician student trainee went horribly wrong. It was such a hostile and abusive work environment that I felt forced to leave or was pushed out. It was so bad that I was advised by a third party to pursue a court case against my employer, but at the time I did not have the emotional capacity or the financial resources to do so. They are a world-renowned health and learning institution. My formal request for hospital gowns was denied by the manager. Some of the more senior level technicians vocally supported my request at the team meeting, but one senior level technician responded with the old back in my day speech, which completely dismissed my concerns about sexual harassment by patients. However, a newly hired supervisor who is much younger than the senior technicians and more understanding of the problem was able to obtain a package of robes from the hospital for us to use. And they were used. As of this moment, I am at a crossroads of sorts. I feel anxiety when I think about working in a hospital again. I drove by the building the other day and my entire body went stiff. The problem was not the patients or the scope of the work itself, it was the people I was forced to work with during 12-hour night shifts. They were so mean and downright nasty, and none of it was necessary. I did request a change to the day shift or a move to another office, but the human resources department only made everything worse. I paid a significant amount of money for my schooling in order to change careers, and I put in an incredible amount of work to become comfortable working with patients. I absolutely loved working with my patients, and I was good at it for the most part. It would be a shame to abandon all of that training because of some emotionally immature, poorly trained, and abusive people. I am fortunate to have a good group of technicians who will provide recommendations for me, but the anxiety is very real. I am gritting my teeth as I write this message. I really do not want to give up. Pajana Party said, "I had a sleep study at the end of last year. At the place I went to, they emphasized everywhere, from every phone call to the paperwork to even a printed sign taped to the door that you need to bring pajamas. It is not comfortable sleeping in a new bed under a different blanket with wires attached to you from head to calf, but at least you can bring your own pillow. If you are so particular about your sleep that you must sleep nude, you will not be able to sleep during an in-laboratory sleep study. If you do not believe me, search online for sleep study wires to see what everyone looks like with them on. It is not even close to ideal conditions for studying a typical night of sleep. To this comment, user El Ahra said, "My sleep study was one of the worst nights of sleep I have ever had. I sleep on my stomach, so all the wires on my torso were constantly being disturbed. The door to the room had to remain open with a bright light shining in from the hallway, and a technician came in probably once every hour to fix the wires. Because I am a stomach sleeper, they had to wake me up every time to get me to roll over, and I would have woken up anyway because I am a light sleeper." Apparently, it was a clean enough study that I received a diagnosis, so I'm not sure patient comfort really makes much of a difference. This next story was made in the relationship subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "I wrongly accused my husband of cheating. Turns out he was hiding his erectile dysfunction," pretty much what the title says. "We have been together for 12 years and married for 8. I noticed that my husband's sex drive had been non-existent for the past few months, which was very concerning, considering that we went from having sex multiple times a week to having no sex at all within the span of 1 week. He also put a password on his phone and began guarding both his phone and his computer much more. He would type and click furiously while keeping the screen pointed away from me, but the moment I walked up next to him, he would quickly switch to a streaming service or something similar. I also noticed that he became much less physically affectionate with me. To me, everything seemed to point to infidelity. I have never been cheated on before to my knowledge, so I could have been overly paranoid, but I do not think it was illogical to assume that something shady might have been going on behind my back. This morning, I saw him crouched over his laptop on the sofa, typing and clicking furiously again, so I reached over and grabbed his laptop to see what he was doing. He panicked and knocked the laptop out of my hands onto the floor. I was shocked and disgusted. At that point, I was sure he was having an affair. I told him that I could not believe he would betray my trust like that and told him to get out of our house. We got into a huge argument that mostly consisted of me cutting off his attempts to explain with angry insults. Once he managed to calm me down, he explained everything. He showed me his 5-page online document containing all of his links and research about methods to deal with erectile dysfunction, and he showed me all of the text messages he had sent to his brother about this issue. He is very upset that I could think he was capable of cheating. He ended up leaving the house to stay with a friend because he wanted time alone to clear his head. I have created an awfully big mess for myself, and I do not know how to repair things. Update. I am deeply grateful to the people who assisted me in researching my husband's condition. Thank you. This update is certainly not comprehensive and things are far from resolved, but I felt I owed it to the few people who legitimately contributed. My husband came back at around 9 o'clock in the evening on Monday. He had left at 10 o'clock in the morning. Once I learned that erectile dysfunction could be linked to heart issues, I began panicking because his family has a history of cardiovascular disease. I think that was the reason he came back home. As I researched more about erectile dysfunction, I sent him around 100 text messages and left him dozens of voicemails, begging him to at least see a medical professional to get checked even if he still did not want to speak to me. Instead, he came home and told me that he had met with his doctor, who said there was no indication that his erectile dysfunction was connected to heart disease. I hugged him, cried a little, and apologized profusely for everything. I had been extremely worried about his family's history of cardiovascular problems, so hearing that a trained medical professional did not find any current issues gave me a great sense of relief. He comforted me and offered me a chance to explain everything from my perspective, so I did. I began by telling him that I knew I was to blame for our situation and that I could never justify my breakdown, but I wanted him to understand the reasoning behind my thought process. I told him how difficult these past few months had been for me. I explained how hurt I was when I spent hours preparing his favorite dinner, lighting candles, and dressing in new lingerie, only for him to come home and head straight to the couch without even acknowledging me. I told him how unloved and hurt I felt once I realized that he was reusing excuses to avoid intimacy with me. I admitted that I was vulnerable and allowed my insecurities to get the better of me. I even told him about this online community and the many distressing stories I had read here. Most importantly, I told him that I love him and will do whatever it takes to repair our marriage. I offered him my unconditional support in dealing with his erectile dysfunction and agreed to participate in any therapy or counseling he felt was necessary. He squeezed my hand and apologized to me. He explained that he did not want me to lose respect for him as a man, and I assured him that I did not respect him any less because of his condition. We both acknowledged that we had hurt each other, but we also reaffirmed that we love each other deeply and want our marriage to succeed. We are now working on both our relationship and his condition together. The specific details of this process do not really matter, but I can say that we did not break up over this. Crispy Liza said, "It's been 11 years. I wonder how things went for them after these posts." To this comment, user Mum said, "I hope that after being together for more than 20 years, they now feel comfortable enough with one another to communicate their concerns." Savage Flordela said, "I do not think this is her fault at all. What is someone supposed to think when their spouse behaves this way? When it acts like a duck and talks like a duck, it is only natural to draw conclusions. I am angry on her behalf." That being said, I understand that the man has a serious issue, but not talking to his wife about it is simply unwise. He ended up punishing her as well as getting himself accused of being unfaithful. This third story was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a user named OK Edition. The post is titled, "My parents have been secretly treating me based on an armchair diagnosis for months without my consent or knowledge. I am so confused by the argument I found myself in with my parents. We have gotten into arguments and had rough patches for years. I love my parents, but they have caused me a lot of pain, and it can be difficult to live with them. I even left home for a while as a teenager and stayed with friends and relatives. I just finished college 1 week ago. For context, I had a difficult time getting through the semester. I rarely share sensitive information with my parents anymore. I wish I had a relationship where I felt comfortable sharing, but honestly, I do not. Still, I knew I could not keep the fact that I was raped from them. I was really thankful when my mother took me to the hospital. I was not sure how she would react. It has become more shocking the more I think about it. It has been really scary to be around other people, and I had hoped my parents understood that I needed time to heal while still pushing myself through school. I often feel panicked and guilty that I am not doing enough. I feel stretched thin and scared. I know I do not contribute to my parents in the way I used to, but I thought they could understand why. The other night, I had a headache. I went upstairs and tried to be with the family even though I was exhausted. I was cleaning the kitchen and drying the dishes when my mother seemed irritated with me. She asked me why I was so miserable and told me I was sucking all the energy out of everything. I called her out. I do not do it often because I know it will harm my mental health. I am embarrassed, but my fight or flight response kicked in and I cried in the corner. I admitted to her that I was afraid of her. She told me she believes I need more disorder screening. She said I was not well and that I was not thinking clearly. It is really scary not to be able to trust whether I am thinking clearly, but I have no other indicators of needing evaluation except my parents' opinions. She has also accused me of needing more medication because of past disagreements where I called her out. I honestly do not know what to do. They are annoyed that I spend time away from the family, but also annoyed that I am tired when I push myself to stay. I feel so panicked. I feel like I cannot rest in this house and I am always on edge. They cornered me again yesterday. They told me they are cutting me off and my mother admitted that her support is not unconditional. They expect me to have a job even though I literally just finished school. My father lunged at me and my mother had to hold him back. I do not understand what I did to make them so upset. I am sad that I cannot feel safe with them. Update. I cannot believe this is real. I just want to wake up and go back to being vulnerable with my parents, but I am too scared to even talk to them right now. A few weeks ago, I had a blowout argument with my parents where I told them to go to therapy. They revealed to me that they have actually both been going to therapy for months. I stopped arguing the point because I figured it was not my place to pry into their mental health journeys further if they had purposely not shared. After that argument, my mother became increasingly more and more hyper-focused on the possibility that I have a borderline personality disorder. Every conversation was about how I am not seeing reality and that I need to start getting treatment for borderline personality disorder. A few mornings ago, she revealed that the therapy she was referring to was not for her. I am not sure how long this has been happening, but my parents have been engaging with a therapist for months to correct my borderline personality disorder. I have a team of experts helping me with my mental health, and none of them has ever suggested that I have borderline personality disorder. A few years ago, when my parents first started nonstop talking about me having borderline personality disorder, I asked my psychiatrist if he had suggested the diagnosis, and he said it was unnecessary. In this house, I am treated as though I have borderline personality disorder. They are not listening to me. If I criticize them, I am considered crazy. I was raped a few months ago and am still feeling shocked and traumatized. I cannot heal from rape if I am constantly on edge and cannot feel safe. I talked to a professional and she seemed to agree with me that they were overstepping. I cannot move out, but I do not know how to stop this behavior. Wiggity Watchin' News said, all of this is crazy behavior by the parents, but she casually mentioned that her father lunged at her. I think that needs more attention. To this comment, user Mount Bervania said, yes, it is not as if the other things they are doing are not bad, but as soon as I read that, it went straight to the top of my mind. I certainly do not mean to criticize, but the way she followed it up with just I am sad was so jarring to me. Like, what about horrified, betrayed, furious? If my father did that to me, I would be reacting wildly in every direction. Edited to add, the last part probably reflects more the fact that my father is normal and her father clearly is not. So I guess the reaction could be different when you are already not well cared for by a person. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.